Zooming. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. I'm Vanessa Bertozzi, one of your Village Board trustees, and I'm so excited to tell you about Village Compost, the new program that we launched in January of 2025. Maybe you got this postcard in the mail and you're curious about the program, so welcome. We're going to talk about why composting matters and how it can work for you and how to get started, and we'll have plenty of time for Q&A. First, I want to say thanks to the amazing volunteers who've been with this project for, in some cases, for years now. So thank you to the team. Even not all of them are all pictured here. Other people have helped out along the way. So definitely couldn't have done it without all these amazing folks. Okay, so if you're ready to get started, in a nutshell, what you're going to do is register at rhinebeckcompost.org and then keep an eye out for an email from me from Village Compost. I usually send those out on Thursdays, or at least within a week of when you submit the form. But I'll get more into the details of how you get onboarded in a few. So I'm going to talk a little bit about why we've been so obsessed with food waste and compost for the past few years, and why it matters. So about 30% of the average American's trash can could be composted. So that we call that organic material. And typically, though, rotting food in landfills produces methane. That's because it's kind of trapped in that landfill without oxygenation and without the right mix of ingredients, you end up with a lot of methane. Whereas with composting, you're aerating it and oxygenating it and mixing it with other materials, and that actually net sequesters carbon versus producing methane and other gases. So methane is a very potent greenhouse gas, and it's up there with about accounting for about 16% of global emissions. Um, and I just wanted to frame this project as one of the pieces of the village's climate plan. And so it's very much in line with our goals to reduce emissions in the village. And when we think about food waste, we try to keep this hierarchy in mind. Like the best thing you can all do for your pocketbook and for the planet is to only, when you go to the grocery store, only purchase what you're actually going to consume and what you're going to eat. That's kind of that top blue bar, right? And then after that, if you have food that's still edible, try to get it to a food pantry or to another service like Feed HV or Dirty Gaia. They do an excess produce drop off in the summers with the food pantries here in Rhinebeck. Um, and then on down, we get to more labor intensive or cost intensive solutions. So I just wanted you all to have this hierarchy in the back of your mind as you manage your households. Village Compost turns our waste into a resource. And think about it. Rhinebeck has deep agricultural roots, and we're kind of continuing that tradition with this project. It's a closed loop system where we're restoring healthy soil and supporting a more sustainable and self-reliant future. Okay, so a little bit about why this program is important. Here's our vision statement that we've developed in 2021. As part of its climate smart efforts, the Village of Rhinebeck's engaging and effective public food scrap diversion program will reduce greenhouse gases at landfills and will build healthy soil, ultimately becoming a model for others in our region. And we have become a model for others in our region. We're actually talking to Red Hook, and they're trying to start a composting program in their village. And our program is going to be featured at the annual New York State Organic Summit in a couple weeks. So we're really, really proud to have been breaking ground here. And since we started this work with the pilot program, we've also got local businesses on board, the school district and their kitchens, and condo boards are involved. So we estimate that we have diverted about 300 tons of food scraps since we started this work. And that means we've avoided the emissions equivalent to over 400 flights from New York to LA. And with this program that we launched in January, 100% of village residents can take part. It's open to all villagers. But realistically, we estimated maybe 10% would be early adopters, and that we would, as the Climate Smart Task Force, we would have to continue to work towards engaging with folks and getting that participation up. But we already have 150 households registered. That's including oh, that and another 50, about another 50 at the Woods condos. So that is equivalent to about 17% of households in the village. And our goal is to get another 40 households by Earth Day, which is April 22nd. And that would mean 20% of village households are registered. So we're going for that extra 40. We through this mailer that we've done just recently, we've already gotten another 20. So just 20 more to go. So peer pressure your neighbors. All right, so now I'm past my little preamble there, and I'm gonna get you to understanding how do you participate? How does this work for you? Um, and of course, if you already compost in your backyard, as I think, I think Dee Dee mentioned she did, and then Cecily's on the call. I know you do as well, and Carrie, and I'm not sure. How about Terry or Bill? Do you guys compost in the backyard?
We do. Yep.
You do. Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, that's the best thing you can do, right? Is if you're composting in your backyard, you're not transporting your food scraps anywhere. That's awesome. And for folks who are doing backyard composting, you're typically not doing meat, bones, or dairy, or anything maybe too like greasy, but you're welcome to register for our program and just drop off those items in the Village Compost program. So best of both worlds, right? And for those who would like to be doing more home composting, we encourage you to check out the this home composting guide that's on the climatesmartrhinebeck.org website. Actually, Cecily is here with us tonight. Hello, Cecily. Thank you for developing that guide with us. Cecily is part of the Master Gardener, Master Composter program through Cornell Cooperative Extension. Okay, so here we go. One of the number one things we knew we wanted to do with this program was to make sure it was as low cost as possible. We wanted to have very low barrier to entry. So the good news is it is free. You go to rhinebeckcompost.org and you'll see there's a button to register. You fill out that form, and then you'll receive an email from Village Compost prompting you to review some educational information and then take an online quiz. And it's a very easy quiz. We're just trying to verify that you like know what the do's and don'ts are. And when you pass that quiz, the confirmation page that says you passed, there'll be a code right there for you to write that down, and then that code is how you unlock the dumpster. So registered participants can also pick up a free bucket from Martina, the village clerk, at Village Hall Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. The bucket is specifically designed for food scraps. Some folks, if you have a larger family or you just generate a lot of food waste, you're maybe cooking a lot with a lot of big bulky vegetable ends, you might need a bigger bucket. That's totally fine. We're not like checking to make sure you're a participant by verifying whether you have their bucket or not. It's just like a nice freebie to help people get started. But if you have your own bucket that you like, that's totally fine. Okay, so we do recommend that you line your bucket. This makes it easier to clean out when you need to wash out your bucket. And also when you go to dump into the dumpster, you can just plop the whole thing, including your newspaper liner, or you could use like a brown paper bag. So we actually did like a little video showing you how to do this. It's on the web page. Um, just make sure it's newspaper or a brown paper bag because there are a lot of like, junk mail or circulars you get in the mail that look like a little bit shiny. They might have a coating on them, which is actually could contain plastics. So just stick to a piece of newspaper or brown paper bag. And this is really, when you dump that into the dumpster, that's kind of the only non-food related thing that we allow to be dumped into the dumpster. And also, I know some people are fond of the bioplastic bags that are supposedly compostable, but we do not accept these. We do not. And here you can see a picture of one that I actually stumbled across quite a few of these over the years as I've been visiting other compost sites. They're just littering these compost sites because they just don't break down as quickly as the other materials at a compost site, and they're very hard for the composter at the site to determine whether this is plastic or is this bioplastic or what is this. So in our case, the farm really doesn't want these showing up in the dumpster. Okay, collecting your food scraps is pretty easy. It's just about adapting to a new habit. Remembering to scrape your plate into your bucket instead of into the trash, reminding and pestering your family members to do so. And there might be a little bit of yuck, you know. I like to drop off my compost, my food scraps a couple times a week, for instance. If you are going to be like leaving it around in your little bucket for much longer than that, it might start to get pretty yucky. And so in that case, you might want to keep it in your freezer or in your fridge. Um, and I should say we do take all manner of food waste. So whether it's fresh or cooked or if it's rotten or moldy, that's fine. And we do, as I mentioned before, we do take meat, bones, and dairy, which aren't typically in a composted in a backyard setting. The only kind of food related things that we don't allow are bulk cooking grease. You can put in like, your greasy pizza or, leftovers or whatever that have been cooked with oil or grease, but no like big jar of fat that you've been collecting by your stove or something like that. Also no pet poop or kitty litter. Um, it's that is not allowed. And then, as I mentioned before, you can put in a newspaper liner or a paper bag liner, but please don't start putting in like other paper recycling items, because then before you know it, we'll have people just dumping in their full like recycling bin. And then again, the trickiest thing that we've encountered is people seeing like on their takeout container, oh, this says it's compostable, or even some utensils that are like the bioplastics that say that they're compostable. We have yet to find a composting site that actually can compost those. And so it might be a bit of greenwashing, unfortunately. So, yeah, please refrain from any compostable, quote unquote, packaging. And the drop-off spot is in that central location in the municipal parking lot, kind of behind Roy, down in that lower small parking lot area, to the west of the main municipal parking lot, where you'll see the farmer's market shed. It's down in that kind of that corner behind Arroy. And it should be there 24/7, except for when the farmer comes to take it over to the farm and dump. And that's usually once a week, usually Monday mornings. Um, and so the dumpster, it's locked to prevent littering. So please make sure you lock it back up. And we have a how-to video that kind of shows you how to use the locks and dump in your food scraps. So again, you get the code after you pass that online quiz, and that's how you get access. I also wanted to mention, I don't know, is anybody here from the gardens or the woods by any chance? Terry, I'm not sure where you live, if you want to shout that out. But we wanted to mention that the woods and the gardens, Lucky Ducks have their own very convenient drop-off spots right by the clubhouses at those condo developments, and that's because the HOA board decided to actually pay the ozone for that pickup right from their neighborhoods. So hooray for you if you live at one of these condo developments. You can very conveniently drop off your scraps right there in your neighborhood. And this is thanks to, again, members of our Climate Smart Task Force who've been working on this project, Mary Burns, who lives in the gardens, and Liz Roth, who lives in the woods. So if you have any questions about how it works in the woods or in the gardens, please contact them. Um, and yeah, we're just super proud of this because this is another great example to set for other condo boards in the area. And then I just wanted to mention the other co-benefits of participating in this sort of a program. You're going to find that your trash, your garbage is going to not stink anymore. So you won't need to take it out to your garbage cans outside as often, and you might even be able to reduce the amount of garbage and trash that you're generating, and so maybe cut back on the size of your Welsh or Waste Management garbage can and save some money, or reduce the number of or frequency of trips you have to run over to the transfer station. So that can be really good. And then also in the program, you get a share of the finished compost. So even if you're not a big gardener, you can still use that compost even for your lawn or for your house plants. Um, and more information coming soon on the first annual compost giveaway. Um, and is there anybody else on the Zoom who would like to share about, you know, what they enjoy about the program? Bill, we had chatted a little bit about what you like about it.
I'd be happy to share. Thanks, Vanessa. Hi, everyone. I'm Bill Hoynes. I live up in Chestnut Street, and I've been a backyard composter for about 10 or 12 years, but always found there to be real limits with that. One is that I heard Dee Dee saying something when I first got on. I only do fruits and vegetables, not table scraps, not food that's been cooked in oil, not uh, bones and meat and dairy and eggshells and all of that. So it's been really great to be able to compost just about everything. And it means we have very, very little garbage. We're only a family of two now with kids grown and out, but we have one little bag of garbage a week now, which I, I take great satisfaction in that, knowing that we're putting very little into the landfill. And this village compost, which I'm an enthusiastic supporter of, has really helped to minimize our garbage. I guess I'd say a couple of the quick things that Vanessa knows because I've told her this. One is that I walk into the compost a couple times a week, and it just seems like if we are thinking about reducing methane and greenhouse gases and the broad environmental value of composting, that sort of building in a little walk to the compost a couple times a week feels like it's consistent with that. Um, and I always run into people. Whenever I go, I run into people in the community who are also composters. I often don't even know them by name, but I know them as fellow Village Compost members, and I've gotten to know them and actually had coffee with one of them recently.
Oh,
So it's a really nice community activity that I think people have a shared sense that it's a small but meaningful act for us all to participate in. And I guess the last thing, just to quickly say, is uh, it's really hard in your own backyard to compost enough to have compost. I mean, to have the finished product. And it's really exciting that the pooling all of our resources to be able to then have finished compost. sometime perhaps in the fall or, however long it takes. It seems like you have like this system is very well designed to move to process quickly, whereas it's much slower in the backyard. So it seems like from beginning to end, the process of dropping off, the outcome, the reduced garbage, the neighborliness, it's really been great. It's only been a couple of months, but it's been great. And I encourage you all to join. It's incredibly easy. And then you're an insider, you've got the code, right?
Yeah.
So
No,
thanks for
that's
inviting me,
lovely.
Vanessa.
Yeah, thank you. I love that you had coffee with someone that you met at the drop-off spot at the dumpster. That's really great. Yeah, and you're right. When you're composting in your backyard, it's really incredible how much things shrink down. I'm actually gonna get into where your food scraps go, um, and um, and a little since the public doesn't get to see the action at the farm, and how the composting happens. And maybe sometime soon we'll be able to do a field trip, which I think would be fun. Um, if anybody's interested in that, please post in the chat. Okay, so we're partnering with a local farm called Ellerslie Stables. It is about a 30 stall horse farm in Rhine Cliff. They were already composting horse manure and use bedding on the daily. So here you see on the map, this little yellow dot is the location of the compost site. And this whole like couple of big parcels here is that's the farm. So it's over 500 acres of property. So the compost site is tucked away and it's not bothering any neighbors. Indeed, they've been already composting horse manure, um, and had no complaints. They are registered with the DEC, which oversees and sort of creates any regulations around composting in New York State. And here you can see this was like the first load of food scraps that the truck dropped off, from with the dumpster with snow still on the ground. So what we're doing, we're currently installing an aerated static pile system, or known as ASP in the compost scene. And really, all this is a series of perforated pipes, that you set the compost material along with the browns. So like the wood chips, or in this case, the shavings from the horse manure, the mucked stalls. And that's all mixed together and set onto these perforated pipes. And then there are these blowers that are kind of like bouncy house blowers, that are situated at this site, which was in Westchester. They're kind of contained in these dog houses. The system that we're building at Ellerslie Stables, the blowers will actually be in these little wheeled carts. So we'll be able to move the blower from pile to pile. But what happens is these blowers are forcing air through the compost pile, and that ends up speeding the throughput from about 9 weeks instead of like 9 months. And because the oxygenation creates a beneficial environment for the microbes, the process actually heats the pile up to at least 130 degrees. And so the marker that the farm is looking for is, taking the temperature. It's 130 degrees for at least 3 days. And what that does is it kills any pathogens, it deters vermin, and reduces odors. And if you're able to do that, the farm is going to be able to sell this finished product to organic farms in the area, which is so great, because we're kind of feeding back into our local agriculture. Um, and the finished product is screened, and then it can be spread to regenerate the soil as a nice soil amendment for gardens or farms. So yes, participants will be getting a share of the finished compost if they want it. And you will also be able to purchase by the yard from the farm. And participants can get a discount if you want to kind of buy in bulk. All right, so again, just a reminder, if you want to get started, just go to rhinebeckcompost.org and fill out that form, and then keep an eye out from Village Compost within a week. Um, and or sooner. I've been so excited to see the results of this mailing that we've done. So we just need 20 more to get to our goal. So with that, I'm gonna stop. I'll stop the share and we can answer any questions or kind of chat about how it's going for you all.
Hey Vanessa, it's Carrie.
Hi.
Can you drop off the compost like any time of day, or is there like specific daylight hours only? Can you talk about like when you can drop it off?
Yep. You're welcome to drop off 24/7. The dumpster is there. Um, so it's really meant to be very convenient for you. Um, and the only time the dumpster wouldn't be there is when the farm is transporting the food scraps once a week over to the farm and then bringing it back empty. Um, and that's typically Monday mornings. Hot tip, don't go drop off your food scraps at noontime. That's when the municipal parking lot, I mean, if you're driving, that's when it's busiest over there in the parking lot is around noontime. A lot of people are in the village for lunch. So if you're walking anytime, but if you're trying to find a parking spot, probably not around lunchtime.
Right, thank you.
Oh, and also breaking news, we just made an agreement with the farmers market that the vendors will now be dropping off their any, remnants from the day's market. Um, at the end of each market, they'll be able to you know, put their food waste into the dumpster. So we're really happy to be working with the farmers market in that way. And also if you go and drop off your food scraps and take a peek inside, you might notice there's a lot of you might notice that there's a lot of popcorn. And that's because we agreed that Upstate Films could have their staff come over and drop excess popcorn into the dumpster. Hi, Linda.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, thanks for joining us. We're just doing some Q&A now if you have any questions.
No, I really don't. I just got the notice in the mail, and so I go to the village hall to pick up a scrap bucket.
Yeah, the first step you do is here, I'll share my screen and I'll show you. Um, here we go.
It's rhinebeckcompost.org, right? I could put that in the chat.
Yep.
Yes, that's how I got on.
Yeah, you go to rhinebeckcompost.org and you might, because I was promoting this event, this info session, you might need to just scroll down a little bit and there's a button to register.
Oh, I did register.
You did register. Okay, great.
Mhm.
So keep on the lookout for an email from Village Compost that will have some educational material for you.
Okay,
And there'll be an online quiz that you have to take to prove that you know the do's and don'ts.
okay,
And then when you finish that quiz on the confirmation page, there'll be the code that you'll need to unlock the dumpster.
okay,
Yeah, the dumpster is locked. Um, basically, we know that if we left it unlocked, people will be throwing their garbage in there in no time. So
right.
so we're keeping that tight control. But if you have any problems with the online quiz or figuring out how to use the locks, feel free to just email me or reach out. Here's my email address.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then um yeah, anything else, any other questions or things that people would like to share? So Linda, did you just register for the
A couple days ago.
okay. Did you get an email from me yet?
No.
Okay, I'll check on it.
Hey,
I,
Vanessa,
sh-
I just wanted to, oh, sorry.
I should probably check in my junk folder or something. Maybe it
Yeah,
went
check your
there.
spam,
Yeah.
definitely.
I'm sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
No, no. I was just gonna say, yeah, I appreciate we've been home composting for a long time and kind of kept up with the turning and we have a college age son, so it's great when he's home. That's now his job, but yeah, it does become a bit of a chore if you generate a lot. So I like that feature of not not having to do the turning. So
Yeah, nice. Linda, what neighborhood are you in?
I live on Chestnut Street,
Oh, okay, great.
and I've lived
Nice.
in Rhinebeck all my life in the village.
Oh my God, beautiful. That's awesome.
And Vanessa, I'll just throw one other thing in. Great advice from you and your team about stickers that appear on fruit and vegetables, which
Oh,
really,
yes.
really annoy me. And in my own backyard compost, I was not particularly focused on making sure to take them off. But
Yeah,
this great advice from the which when you do the training or the before and maybe you even have to ask this on answer this on the quiz, I think. But when you do the training is that when you get home from the supermarket, pull all the stickers off. So now I do that every week, pull all the stickers off right away, and I don't have to worry about finding them even in my backyard compost like 2 years later.
nice.
The banana stickers. So I think it's a really a smart idea and really helpful. And just about I've gone after work often at night to drop things off.
Yeah,
So the 24/7 aspect. I mean, I wouldn't advise going 2 in the morning, but I guess if you're up and want to do your compost, then
yeah.
Is this
Yeah.
just for village people or the town also?
You know, we're talking with the town about opening it up to town residents as well. We're just negotiating how that would work. Um, but I think we'll make it happen. You know, in the town, the gardens, their HOA board is already paying for the ozone to come and pick up food scraps at a drop-off spot right there at the gardens. So they already have a really convenient situation. And then I think we've heard a lot of folks in Rhine Cliff would be interested. You know, folks who have like a smaller yard and maybe aren't able to compost in their backyard, or you know, some folks that live out, you know, out in the sticks in Rhinebeck town are like, oh, I just throw it in the backwoods or whatever. Um, but then again, you know, my parents were composting. They live out in the woods. They were composting, but then a bear started coming by and they're like, no more composting. So, you know, depends on your preference, but it would be really lovely to expand it open to make it open to folks in the town as well as the village. The reason we kept it just with the village to get started, we wanted to, you know, you work out any kinks in the system. And this whole thing, the how we're able to do this and offer it for free at no cost to village taxpayers is we the village got a grant through the DEC. And that is paid for the dumpster, it paid for, you know, the additional equipment and some of the construction we did at the farm's composting site. And so, you know, the village board wanted to make sure everything was copacetic before we opened it up to the town.
Good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. So, just really excited. I think the fact that we're so close to already having 20% of the village residents registered is like incredible. And speaking with other people in the composting field, um, that's really, really good. Um, that's pretty impressive. So I'm really proud of our team and all of our efforts to get the word out about this and to educate folks. And I think also like having that municipal parking lot, having the dumpster right there in the municipal parking lot where it's so visible, I'm hoping that people, you know, just walking by, driving by, will see people dumping their food scraps in there, and it kind of becomes more normalized, you know, it becomes like, oh yeah, I should do that too. That's like everybody's doing it, you know? So I'm hoping it'll continue to catch on with more and more people. We have plenty of excess capacity in that dumpster. It's pretty big. So,
That's good.
yeah, tell your friends, tell your neighbors. And Linda, we did record this session, so I can email it to you
Oh,
once I
good.
get that up online if
I
you
was
want.
on another Zoom
Oh
uh,
yeah,
meeting, so that's why I was late getting in.
sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to share it with you after
Thank you.
this. Um, any other questions or any other concerns or any other tips? I see some people will be interested in a field trip. Yes, we should do it. Field trip to the farm. All right.
But as if I can just add one thing, maybe like if everybody invited like 3 of their friends, their village neighbors, that would help us to meet our goal.
Yeah.
You know, like people, you know, your next door neighbor, like if you don't think they're on the program, actually like 3 of my neighbors already are, but we have lots of
Yeah.
neighbors, so I'll invite some more.
Yeah. That's a great idea, Carrie. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to say good night. Thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah. And
Thank you.
reach out if you have any other questions or tips to share.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye. Linda, while I have you still on the Zoom, do you want me to just check your registration? Linda, can you hear me?